Hi, I'm Jo, a sex therapist at Insight Matters, and I'm going to interview Louis, who is a young transgender person. So I'm Louis's mother, as it happens, and I asked Louis's sister to write the questions. So these are peer-to-peer questions. And what kind of resources help you as a young trans person?
Definitely a lot of things online. I think it's good for people online to be able to find people similar to them and to be able to find advice and things they never even knew about. My friends aren't always the most knowledgeable on trans issues because a large majority of my friendship group is made up of cis people, but they really do try their best to be supportive and well-educated friends, and I really appreciate having them to turn to when things get more complicated and more difficult in my life.
And what do you think about the Tenny group meetings that you've been to?
I have actually found it to be just incredibly useful because as much as I love my friends, talking to people and being in a space where kind of you don't need to, have a pre-written speech on exactly who you are, it can be nice to just sort of go into a space and have people who get you.
And how are you accessing or how are you missing those things now? Is there any difference between digital stuff and real life?
I think that it is definitely frustrating to not be able to have face-to-face contact with all of our loved ones. But I mean, I am definitely glad that this is happening now and not 10 or 20 years ago, because we do have the digital resources to help us stay connected to the people who matter to us and who support us.
That's a lovely point. What about transitioning in the long term? Any fears or concerns on how that will be affected?
Well, just by the nature of being trans, there are unfortunately a lot of waiting lists because trans medical resources aren't especially easy to come by. And one of my fears would be that with everything, it might get postponed and that then I would be on a waiting list for a child's clinic, but I would have maybe turned 18 before it was actually time to start going there.
Have you learned any coping mechanisms or techniques that you would like to share with other teens or young adults in your situation?
Kind of doing something that makes you feel regulated and like chilled out, and kind of maybe putting some music over that, maybe hanging out with some pets. Just kind of not constantly surrounding yourself with people and tasks and not constantly feeling the need to be incredibly productive, because honestly at this point just getting up in the morning and going about your life is productivity enough.
Yeah, very good point. What can other people do, such as government or organisations, friends and family, to support young trans people?
I think that definitely helping to kind of make resources more accessible, making education on the topic more accessible, and just generally trying to kind of put in place, laws and spread awareness that would help out trans and queer people would be incredibly beneficial. It's even just the kind of the small things can have a big impact.